So I hope everyone's doing great today. We're going to talk today a little bit about how to make money on your next home renovation. Before we get into our talk is going to focus on which home renovations are going to add the most value to your home, how to best finance the renovation that you're planning, and then at the end we're going to talk a little bit about some of the traps that you might want to avoid when you're embarking on your reno. Before we get into that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about More Can Direct. You heard a little bit about it already from the intro. More Can Direct has been named consistently Canada's top independent mortgage broker. And I believe that is because we do things a little bit differently. Everyone that works at More Can is a salaried employee. We are not commission driven. We're driven by providing sound, unbiased mortgage advice to our clients. So the information that we give is the most important thing in our jobs. More Can Direct's been operating for over 25 years, which is also pretty great. In that time, we've seen the market share of mortgage brokers in Canada go from 5% to 35%. Now, I believe there's probably two reasons for that. One reason is I think that brokers are doing a really good job educating the consumer. The other reason, and it might have a little more of a factor, is I think that banks are operating in a manner that is not in the best interest of the consumer. And I think consumers are smart and they're starting to figure that out. The way they calculate penalties for their consumers, which we're going to get into a little bit today, the way they negotiate rates with their consumers, we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And I think that these factors are driving consumers to search out better information, and that's where brokers are coming in. So, before you embark on your home renovation, the most important thing that you can do is find out what your house is worth. So, for the home show, we're offering free appraisals. They're electronic appraisals. We do them at our booth. You can pick one up if you go by the booth. It will tell you what your home is worth, what your neighbors have sold their homes for, and any mortgages that are registered on the property to identify, make sure that you don't have a mortgage on there that you weren't expecting. Which, yesterday at the booth, a gentleman came by and he had an extra mortgage on his house, and it was registered by a bank and he didn't know what it was from. So that information's power in your hands, and it's typically unavailable to you. It's available to lawyers. We're putting it in our clients' hands. So the first step is finding out what your home is worth. The next step, and the most important part of any renovation, to add value, add square footage. Now, you've probably seen some of these TV shows from some of the HGTV guys where they embark on a renovation to add value to someone's home, and they're adding rooms onto the back of the house, an extension onto the home. And it starts off and it's supposed to be $50,000, and the client's happy and the contractor's happy, and then it ends up and it's $250,000, and the contractor is still smiling, but the homeowner is not. That's not the best way to immediately add value. First, we believe that you should look inside your home. So your attic. Renovating your attic to create a nice open space, use it as a bedroom, as a play area for children, as a gym. Something that when a buyer comes to your home to look around, they'll identify it and they'll see that there's a great use for that space. And it's also a lot cheaper to add that square footage because it's already existing in your home. The next thing we can use to add quite a bit of value is your basement. So adding square footage to your basement by refinishing it, digging out the basement, underpinning it, adding a kitchen down there, or adding a rental suite, which brings us to our next high value target in renovating. We are seeing more and more homes sold in metropolitan areas. So Toronto is a prime example. $1 million homes are selling, and they're detached. In some cases, they're even semi-detached homes, because the entry point of these homes has gotten so high, we see purchasers putting basement suites in these places. And they're renting for $1,500, $2,000 a month in some cases. $2,000 a month will pay for a $400,000 mortgage. It will pay the interest and the principal for that mortgage. So when a buyer looks at that home, they're actually not buying a $1 million home anymore. They're buying a $600,000 home. And for young professionals that are trying to buy their first home, it makes things a lot more affordable. I mean, like everything we're going to talk about in this presentation today, there is a degree that you should behave within. So if you've got a $2.5 million house, it's probably not advisable to put a basement suite in it, because whoever's going to buy that $2.5 million house probably doesn't want some exchange student in the basement cooking on a hot plate. But if it's $1 million, you're probably in the sweet spot. Renovating for value also applies to your kitchen. So, and you can see a lot of examples at the home show here today. There are ways to add value to your kitchen apart from ripping everything out, putting in brand new cabinets, redoing the floor plan, all stainless steel appliances. Doing something like that can cost $100,000, $150,000. And if the value of your home dictates it, and you've got your valuation report, and you know what your neighbors are selling for, and you know what that kitchen will yield, it might be a good idea. But you could also refinish your cabinets. You could add some color with a backsplash. You could retile the floor. You could add a countertop. Things that won't necessarily break the bank, but will still yield you when you are looking to sell that property. Same thing applies for bathrooms. Like, that is a beautiful tub, and there's a glass of wine right next to it. Doesn't that look so inviting? But that bathroom probably costs $25,000. And if someone comes to your home and your home is only a $400,000 home, they're probably not looking for that bathroom. They're not expecting that bathroom. Which means you're not going to get your money out of having paid for that bathroom. But what you could do is you could refinish the tub. You could regrout the tiles. You could change some of the fixtures, the faucets. And you could give that bathroom a brand new feel when someone goes to have a look at that property. This applies to the inside of your house as well. So if you're about to sell your home, it needs a fresh coat of paint. It doesn't just need the fresh coat of paint. It needs the little touches, maybe some new doorknobs, maybe some nice drapery, something that when a client or a prospective purchaser comes into your home, they only have 30 minutes to an hour, maybe once or twice they're going to see that home. You want to wow them. You want to make your home a place that they want to live in. And they've got to fall in love with it in a relatively short period of time. This applies to the outside of the house as well. They're not going to come in if they don't think it looks nice from the outside. Everyone talks about curb appeal. Curb appeal doesn't have to cost you a fortune. Curb appeal can be a fresh coat of paint. It can be doing some landscaping out front, cutting your shrubs so everyone can see the entrance to your home, maybe painting your front door. A roof can be expensive, but it can also be a great return on your investment. So if there is an issue with your roof, you do want to get that fixed before you're selling it. Now we're going to get into some of the popular ways to finance a home renovation. And that is usually where we at More Can Direct come in to offer our advice. So I'm a little better at this part than I am at the reno part, although I've been involved in a couple of those too. So first, the best way to finance your reno, you go to our booth, you fill out one of these forms, and you sign yourself up for a $50,000 line of credit at 0% for 1 year. It's free money for 1 year, and then ideally you're refinancing your mortgage into a cheaper rate with us, and it's a win-win for everybody. And don't worry, if you give us your email address, we will not be inundating you with emails. We send one email out each month, and it's a commentary. It's about 250 words, and it says whether we think you should take a variable rate or a fixed rate mortgage, and what's happening in the market to give us that impression. So, using your own resources is a popular way to finance a home renovation. And guess what? If you do that, you don't really need me. So if you've got money, $150,000 saved up, and you are ready to finance your renovation, go for it. But Money is very cheap right now, and if you borrow properly, it can be very profitable for you. Now, from the easiest way to finance your renovation, your own cash, to the absolute worst way to finance your home renovation, a credit card. Unless you plan on paying off the entire bill in 30 days, your home renovation is going to be significantly more expensive using a credit card. Unless you use a 0% interest rate credit card offer. We love these lately. Money is so cheap that these credit card offers come in the mail to you, and you probably discard them because you have no interest in them. But someone is actually offering you 0% interest on a credit card because they believe you're not responsible enough to pay it back in the time frame that they've provided you with. But if you can match the expiration of that offer to the maturity of your mortgage, you are in the driver's seat and you are going to profit from your renovation, even you're financing it at 0%. Personal line of credit. There's another way to finance your home renovation. I am not a huge fan of personal line of credit. I believe it's a high margin product that banks use to make profit off their customers. And guess what? You know what the litmus test for getting approved for a personal line of credit is? If you can get approved for a home equity line of credit at 2.7%, then they'll approve you for a personal line of credit at 9%. So it's a high profit product at the bank, but if you don't say anything else, the bank's going to want you to have it. So avoid the personal line of credit, go directly to a home equity line of credit. We can set them up with such ease. Lenders want to give you money so badly right now that they'll give you a home equity line of credit, they'll pay for the appraisal on your home, they'll pay for the lawyer to disperse the funds, and they will attach it to your home for free. In addition to home equity line of credits, what can possibly be the best way to finance your home renovation is refinancing your home. But you have to be careful. It depends on who holds your first mortgage right now. If it's a bank, it can be relatively expensive to break that mortgage, and we're going to talk a little bit about that now. The first step when you want to refinance your mortgage is find a really good penalty calculator. And we built one, and we've got it on our site, and I'm extremely proud of it. Regardless of who your lender is, if you enter in when you got your mortgage, what the balance on your mortgage is or was, the lender that holds your mortgage, and the interest rate that you received, it will calculate with a great degree of accuracy what your penalty is. Not invasive, you're in your own home, you can be in your underwear and your robe, and you can find the penalty on your mortgage, and you don't have to wait for 45 minutes from the person at your bank to get to you on the phone to give you that penalty number, which is probably wrong in the first place anyways. Then you can click a button on our website that says, can I actually save money by breaking my mortgage? Based on my penalty and what interest rates are right now, and I'm going to get into this in a minute, but we do not have posted and discounted rates. We just have one rate. All of our rates are discounted. We don't negotiate them. We give all of our clients the lowest possible rate from the moment they come to our website. No playing around. Banks have 3 or 4 sets of rates. So you can check out immediately on the website whether or not you can save money on your mortgage, which is great. Because it's super complicated to calculate the penalty on your mortgage. So complicated, in fact, that I had to put it up on this screen, and I'm going to write it on this board here. But we are going to go through it together. Okay? So let's take an example. We, let's say, have a borrower that goes into his bank. Who wants to be our borrower? You're going to be our borrower. What's your name? Yeah, you don't have to come up on stage. It's not a magic show. Just what's your good?
I'm Dave.
All right, Dave is our borrower. So Dave goes into the bank, and Dave is a pretty shrewd guy. He knows what he's doing. He's been in there before, and the bankers recognize him, and they know he's a tough negotiator. So Dave walks into the bank, and he's seen on the website already that the bank's posted rate is 5%, which is actually not very far from where posted rates are right now. Do you know, this is actually a fun fact, do you know that every single bank in Canada has the exact same posted rate? They're all 4.64%. They all agree upon it. The first day of each month, they all say, what's our posted rate going to be? Oh, 4.64. So let's say just because we're going to do math, that Dave goes in and they say, well, our posted rate's 5%. And Dave says, you're going to have to do better than that. So they give him a 2% discount. And he ends up with a 3% 5-year fixed rate. And Dave is happy. And the banker says, listen, before you leave, I'm going to need your initials that we gave you that 2% discount. Because in the event, and it's very unlikely, that you decide to pay that mortgage back, we need to charge you all the interest we're going to lose by you paying us that money back. And Dave says, I don't really care. I don't plan on breaking my mortgage. And the guy at the bank probably agrees with him. Yeah, you're probably not going to break it. But did you know that 75% of all mortgages are broken before maturity? The bank knows that. So, we're happy. Dave's pretty excited. He got his 3% rate. He walked out of the bank. He told his lovely wife about it. She was happy. And he got a 2% discount. But 3 years go by and Dave won the lottery and he wants to pay the mortgage off. Or his kids are going on university and he needs to pay for it. Or he wants to do a renovation. Whatever the item is, whatever that life event is, the bank has counted on that event to occur. And it's time to break your mortgage and you have 2 years left. So the bank says, well, as we explained to you when you first came in, we need to recoup all the money that we're going to lose by you paying us back your mortgage. And today, we're lending out 2-year fixed rate money at 3%. And you can see that, that's posted on our website. We know already what those posted rates mean. But, Dave, we did give you a 2% discount when you first came in. So we're going to apply that discount to our 2-year rate, and we're going to arrive at 1%. So the bank says, effectively what the bank is saying now is, I can only lend money out at 1%. So if you give me the money that I'm making 3% from you on, I'm only going to make 1% giving it to someone else, which we know is also not true. But that 2% yield that the bank is claiming to lose, guess who's responsible for it? Dave. So, your initial rate was 3%. The bank can now only make 1%. That 2% differential has to be multiplied by the entire amount of your mortgage. Let's say it's $500,000, $10,000, and the remaining time that he has left on his mortgage, 2 years. It's a $20,000 penalty to break that mortgage. So the key to refinancing is to plan for it in advance, to know that you're refinancing, and to not go with a Schedule A bank, because there are so many mortgage lenders available to us right now in Canada, and there are prime lenders that do not have posted and discounted rates. They just have the lowest rates, and they compete directly for your business, and their penalties are not charged like that. It's pretty cool. All right, let's finish off our talk about some really cool little traps and tips that you could employ in your next home reno. So first off, pick a style that lasts when you're renovating your house. I'll give you an example. I live in an area where the homes are predominantly Tudor style homes. And across the street from us, a builder decided to build. So he ripped down this older Tudor home. And when I opened my front door now, it looks like a spaceship landed on the lot across the street from me. I don't really mind it. I find it kind of amusing. My wife does not like it. So pick a style that lasts, whether it's fitting in with your neighborhood or fitting in with your existing home. Make sure that you maintain the home's character when you're doing a reno. Another good one is don't go overboard. This one I always picture, when I first started in mortgages, I remember reading something from Warren Buffett, and he said, never buy the most expensive house on the street. Always look for the most expensive street and buy the cheapest house. So if you are in the most expensive house on the street, you probably don't want to add to your expenses by putting $150,000 into a kitchen reno. Next, time can be both your friend and your foe. And I'll tell you what I mean by this. If you've been in the real estate market in Canada in the last 10 or 15 years, time has been our friend. Property values have appreciated significantly. If we did a reno 10 or 15 years ago on our home, and we've lived in that home for 10 or 15 years, we've had the enjoyment of that home. So we've been benefiting. But it can also be our foe, because if we planned on doing a reno 10 or 15 years ago with the intention to sell our home in 10 or 15 years, it's very likely that those renos are going to start looking dated, and we're not going to get the money that we thought we could out of them. So if you are planning a reno for the purposes of a sale, make sure that you don't leave that time horizon too extended.
Get more than you expect with more Candor.